Then we begin to have the encroachment of these large businesses. And again, we're talking to people who had been there one generation. And we're going through all these traumatic situations. All of these boarding schools are brutal. They're killers. There's rapists and pedophiles that run these things. Everybody's dressed in military dress. So you talk about a dysfunctional group of people when they come home from these situations. Try to settle in with the old folks who have this traditional value where we never had jails, we never had the pedophiles. These people were exiled if they behaved badly in our society. Our societies are eroding, where our dance societies are dying out, on and on. Then we have the beginning of these large industries coming onto our land and being sold. Our land is being sold to them. So now, today, where the Ponca people live is in north central Oklahoma. There's a city called Ponca City, about 40,000 strong there, that used to be Ponca land. And if you drive 5 miles south of that is where our tribal headquarters is, and a cluster site of Poncas are there, and maybe 600 of us live within a 20-mile radius. There is a huge oil refinery and tank battery there. ConocoPhillips is there. So they're refining constantly and poisoning the air. Each of these tank batteries, which was the largest in the United States until about 20 years ago, each of those tanks that hold hundreds of thousands of gallons of oil leaks 3%. So those follow the pipelines underneath there. So now we are on where the Arkansas and the Salt Fork come together, because we wanted the land that looked like Niobrara and Missouri. So this is a very small microcosm of that. And there was one hill there where we bury our people, established in 1890. So coming out of Ponca City, we have this huge giant tank battery. We have a refinery there. We have Poncas scattered on their home sites all the way around there, and our tribal government and powwow grounds and all of this are right there. So that particular thing has poisoned the earth, poisoned the groundwater, and is poisoning the air. And you go across the street from that, Highway 177 runs right through that area. There's what was a Conoco subsidiary, and it's called Continental Carbon Black. It is now owned by a Taiwanese billionaire, the Koo family, K-O-O. It produces carbon that goes into asphalt, it goes into tires, carbon paper. The particulates from this particular plant are so fine that should there be no wind blowing, you could toss them in the air and they would stay airborne for 3 days. They literally can, and the ground is black. If you touch the ground, you can't wash the black off. You might be able to use a pumice stone to get it off eventually. Well, in the 1970s, that land was so polluted by that company that the Bureau of Indian Affairs was forced to buy that allotment from the Rushes and Battle family. They in turn sold it to HUD Housing for the Poncas to have a cluster site under. So they put 12 families under that. Every single family there has cancer. Little people who have lost their legs to bone cancers. The Cole family. Gilbert Cole died of cancer. His wife has cancer. 3 sons have, one is on dialysis 3 times a week. One has lost his legs. One walks with a walker. One daughter's had cancer. The Eagle family, Herbert and his wife, both died of cancer. The Leroy family, both of them the elders have died of cancer, and remaining children and grandchildren have various things where they've lost limbs. Understand we're compromised by diabetes, so all of these environmental stressors layer on in such a way that it's just an immediate attack on the bodies. Every family there, lupus, cancer, just on and on in every direction, every family there. We got a lawsuit going. We got sold out by lawyers. These people did get bought out. The settlement was a pittance, and 60% of it went to the attorneys, and no clauses in there for that company to quit polluting. And those particulates travel in the air for over 5 miles that we know, that we can document. Across the street from that, right below the ConocoPhillips, if one went on the East Road, then where a whole bunch of Poncas live over there too, there's an abandoned OG&E plant. And that still has mercury and other heavy metals, and that's on the banks of the Arkansas, as is Continental Carbon Black. Then across the street from that, across from 177, so we may be talking a quarter of a mile, maybe a half a mile, this big Ponca Iron and Metals, which was in the city of Ponca City, but it was so polluting in there to the groundwater and the ground that they made a move. Well, of course, the city gave them a permit to move down where we are. So now that, in the last 5 years, has expanded 10 times over. Mind you, both Continental Carbon Black and this Ponca Iron and Metal have paid settlements to the white people that live around there. Even with Continental Carbon Black over here, where the cluster site of Poncas, this is the stack, this is the producers, cluster sites of Poncas right immediately under it, down the road were white people. They were all paid. They all got money to clean their homes, to clean their cars, to clean their dogs. But Poncas just sat there and had to breathe this. And it literally goes into the pores of your skin because it is so fine. But there's books on the laws on the books of the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality, because that's an oil state, that says unless you can visibly watch a mote leave the plant and arrive in your home, it doesn't count. It doesn't matter if you find that toxin in your house or in your lungs. It doesn't count unless you can see it. Well, these particulates are so fine nobody can see them. So then if you travel a little further south, maybe a half a mile, then you have the cleaning of these lumbers of creosote. We all know what creosote does. It's another carcinogen. Just beyond that, a block perhaps, is the asphalt cleaning facility. It's an incinerator type situation where they clean arsenic and various other things off the gravel and the old road stuff. Then if you take a right there, we're talking, this is all contained within a 2-mile period. If you take a right there, by the way, those on the East Road down by the OG&E abandoned plant, all that well water has been contaminated. So Poncas can't drink their own well water anymore because it's contaminated from these places. We used to have natural springs all over this land because the groundwater is so close to the surface, but now all of the natural springs are polluted. We can't let our children play in them. We certainly can't drink them.